to Wanda.
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs? Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So wouldn't it be cool if like the world worked that way where you could like start telling somebody a story and then everything just went to a flashback and you just watched that for a minute? That would be really
That would be
fucking
amazing.
cool. So many stories would get so much better that way.
No, they would get worse because most stories are lies.
Oh, no.
Didn't think about that, did you?
Oh, good point.
They'd be exaggerated. I mean,
that's true. Well, over time, your stories do get exaggerated. Over
Right.
time. Most of the stories I tell on this show are highly exaggerated. I'm sure it's not as
Just
exciting.
letting the secrets out.
I mean, of course, I don't lead that exciting of a life. Nobody does. Come on, unless you're like rich. I think you got to be rich to lead a super exciting life. You know.
I guess.
don't know.
I don't know. I've never been rich.
Me either. I don't think we ever will be. Welcome to Night of the Horror File.
Hello.
A podcast full of poor people. No, this is a podcast where I take a horror movie and a genre movie, maybe sometimes, and show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany.
Or
and
whatever the fuck we want to watch.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently. It's listener request month, though. So we have a special request. This week's episode was jokingly requested by longtime listener Kim, who really gave us a ton of movies suggestions. She gave us a list of suggestions for this month, but I swear it was this one, and she was just joking about it, and it caught my attention, and I was like, you know what? Okay.
You know what?
I'm gonna fucking do that.
You know
as
what
a
the
joke.
funny part
Yeah.
is?
What's the funny part?
I've never fucking seen it.
Crazy. It's crazy how it fucking worked out that way, because I was like, well, I don't think she's ever seen this movie, and it is a movie you would see. That's what's fucking crazy.
I know. That's what's weird.
And you may be wondering what movie we are talking about.
No, you don't get to know until
don't get to
60 minutes into
Until 60 minutes into the movie. You try to guess this month. What movie did we watch this week?
Fried green tomatoes.
That's right, 1991's Fried Green Tomatoes. And here at Night of the Horror File, we really relish in covering the films that most don't talk about. But in a horror movie podcast first, and we guarantee you'll only hear today's movie on this horror movie podcast. Fried Green Tomatoes is what we're watching today. Based on a novel by Fannie Flagg, not Stephen King. I'll discuss why I tricked Brittany.
Why do you keep lying to me?
Okay, I only did this because it was funny to me. I'll explain it later. It's an inside joke I have with myself because for some reason, everybody takes my word for this. It never fucking fails. I'm like, because they'll bring up Fried Green Tomatoes does get tossed around a lot. A lot of people talk about this movie, which is really weird how you haven't seen it. Like, people do tend to talk about this movie, and we'll discuss why. I mean, it's a very good movie. But but for some reason, when I tell somebody that, Fried Green Tomatoes is based off of a novel by Stephen King, for some reason, right off the bat, they just take my word for it. And I don't, I mean,
it sounds possible, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. But we'll discuss why that's a joke I have later on. But, sorry. But today's movie was directed by John Avnet, working with producer Lisa Lindstrom, who he collaborated with on Heat Wave and Breaking Point, two made-for-television films. Now, he first hired Carol Sebeski, who actually would go on to, I think she got nominated for an award for her work on this.
Probably.
Posthumously, though, because she died not long after it came out.
Oh.
Now, she was the first to work on the screenplay for this. And she actually also worked on the screenplay for 1982's Annie. The first draft to this was actually a musical.
Oh.
Which kind of sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing how that would work out. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's an interesting thing. I do think a lot of our themes and stuff we'll talk about today would probably get left by the wayside, but like still, that would be interesting to see. Now, it was the exact opposite though of what Avnet wanted. He didn't want a musical. So Sebeski left. She left the project, and they brought in the novel's author, Fanny Flagg, to do the screenplay. She was shocked that anyone even wanted to make a movie out of the story, first of all. Now, Flagg did have some screenwriting experience, but found it increasingly difficult to adapt her story to screen with the few characters Avnet selected to be featured. To my knowledge, I think the book has a lot more characters in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's just to my knowledge. I haven't read a lick of a page of this fucking novel. We will discuss like one serious thing that they changed when they adapted from novel to screen. We'll discuss that. Okay. And I think it actually radically changes the movie when you keep that in mind, which we will discuss in a minute. But but it was too much for her. She ended up leaving the project, and with no money to hire another writer, Avnet rolled up his sleeves and finished the script himself. So there was 3 writers on the script. Wow. And I believe they all got credit. Now, Fanny Flagg did, of course, have final, she gave her blessing on the final draft. And when all was said and done, that's what we got today. And like I said, I've never read the novel, but from what I hear, it is quite different. Like, they do keep some of the themes that the novel touches on, but and we'll discuss all that later. So let's dive into what I think is the first Oscar-nominated film here on Night of the Horror File. Wow. I can't think of another movie we've covered that was Oscar-nominated. Machete? Did Machete get an Oscar?
I don't think so.
For Best Mexican in a Grindhouse film.
Oh, I was going to say Best Titties.
Best tit. Oh, it did have some good titties. No titties in this, sadly. We're not going to be talking about tits.
I was like, interested. Did we see? No,
there's no tits in this. But no, there's no. You do get to see Kathy Bates' tits in What About Schmidt, I believe. But
I don't really care about that. About her tits.
No, you wouldn't want to see Kathy Bates.
Oh, I've seen what's her name's boobs a million times. I don't need to see it.
Who? Oh, Mary Louise Parker.
Sure.
Yeah. The one that was in Weeds. Well, we'll discuss all these people here in a little bit. Okay. Because that is like the powerhouse of this movie is the cast.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So the movie starts when I fry you up in a pan.
Oh, see, you're keeping with the theme of the movie. That's nice. That was a good one. I'm going to get turned into a fried green tomato. No. Are we smoking now? Is that what's happening?
It is hog. What was it? What did she say? It's hog boil time.
Hog boil time. Which, by the way, critics said, that's right. 4 fried green tomatoes, you guys. I switched over for my normal Marble Lights.
Oh, God.
And I'm smoking Virginia Slims.
They still make those?
They still make Virginia Slims. And that is one skinny cigarette.
Oh, the ones that my mom smoked whenever I was younger are way skinnier and way longer.
Oh, that's because these are the full flavored Virginia Slims.
She smoked Virginia Slims 120s menthol.
Oh, those things were like the size of a toothpick.
They were really long though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I figured, I get a little feminine here. We're about to talk about some themes, So I is that terrible of me? I'm smoking a Virginia Slim.
No, it's just weird.
I know. I just wanted to try. I've never had one. So this will be interesting. Another Night of the Horror File first.
Oh my gosh.
Revolutionary this podcast is.
So revolutionary. Oh my God. Anyway,
the fried green tomatoes is part of what I like to call boomer American history.
Truth.
These are movies that take place during a tumultuous time, mostly from the point of our Caucasian heroes, Forrest Gump, movies like that.
Right.
The Help is another one, but it kind of fit in this category. It's a light touch and easy to digest view of a time when racial inequality and violence were commingling together in a storm.
Right.
We're kind of having that today. You know, I can't say it's any different today, which is kind of scary. But anyway, nothing wrong with these movies, but you'll get a lot of people. Here's the problem with these kind of movies. You get a lot of people who derive their American history from movies like this.
Oh,
it's like, no, man, it's fiction.
Right.
It's a fictional movie. Forrest Gump did not meet the Black Panthers and break up their party.
You broke up my Black Panther party.
I might actually hate on Forrest Gump a little bit in this episode.
Oh, shit.
Because, like, there's a few things in this movie that I think this movie does right. And that's mostly it handles its themes and it's kind of lessons a little bit more seriously than these movies usually do.
Yeah.
You know?
This is Forrest Gump meets Steel Magnolias.
Yes. Because Forrest Gump, we'll discuss it in a little bit. I'll kind of explain why I think Forrest Gump is the king of boomer American history movies.
Okay.
So let's get into this movie, though.
So this movie starts where we meet Ed and Evelyn Couch. They are lost in a town called Whistle Stop, and they're going to see Ed's aunt at her nursing home. They finally make it, and the aunt doesn't want to see Evelyn in the room, so she waits in the waiting room. An older woman starts talking to her, and her name is Ninny Threadgood. She's 82 years old, and she's just there visiting and taking care of Mrs. Otis, her lifelong friend.
Yeah.
And she says that they are from Whistle Stop.
Which, first of all, like, this was my favorite part about going in the nursing home and stuff, is visiting the older people and getting their stories. Like this really gave me like flashbacks to learning everyone's stories when I used to volunteer at the nursing home. But first off, Ed here is played by the amazing Gaylord Sartain. Now, Sartain was a Tulsa native graduating from the University of Tulsa and went on to do illustrations and stuff like that. He was a very good illustrator. In fact, he even did the cover design for Leon Russell's Will-O the Wisp, which, are you familiar with Leon Russell?
No.
He's also a Tulsa native. Really good music. Well, music I like. I don't know if you'd get into it. I met Leon Russell one time. He's a really nice man. But Sartain shot to fame, however, when he created and hosted Tulsa's first late-night comedy program, hosting horror movies, mind you. Dr. Mazeppa Papazoides' Uncanny Film Festival and Camp Meeting.
That's a name.
Yes, and these clips do exist online, and you can go watch these, and they are fucking hilarious. Like, the way to describe this kind of comedy is like hee-haw and earnest. You know, that kind of comedy, just good old humor. It's good stuff. Guest stars included Gary Busey, Jim Buck Milway, and in fact, that's kind of how Gary Busey got his start. Was on Dr. Mazeppa Papazoides. So,
oh, wow.
And and this sounds awful, but I totally just found out today that he's alive and well and still lives here in Tulsa.
Oh,
so cool. I'm like, I wonder if I can get Gaylord Sartain on this fucking show.
Like here.
Yes, that would be so amazing. I don't know if any of our listeners know who I'm talking about, but like, I definitely know you guys have seen the Ernest movies. And he's the big dude in the Ernest movies who's always hanging out.
Ernest
P. Worrell. You know?
Nope.
Know what I'm talking about, Vern?
Nope. I have no clue.
Hey, that guy?
No.
Oh, we're going to have to. He did a horror movie, so we're going to have to watch the Ernest Scared Stupid on this program so we can educate you in the ways of Ernest P. Worrell. What
is this podcast turning into?
I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. It's getting wild. Luckily, next week, we're returning to the horror in a big way. But, you know, we'll discuss that at the end of the show.
Okay. So, Ninny asks Evelyn if she knows Iggy Threadgood. Evelyn says no, so Ninny continues on. She says that Iggy and her friend Ruth ran the Whistle Stop Cafe. Then she makes a comment about Iggy murdering a man.
Would you just let that slip?
Yeah, she just like was going on.
Oh, by the way, fucking murdered a dude. Like, what?
Evelyn's like, you can't just speed past that. Like, you didn't say that. I mean, she didn't say that, but
and she looks it on her face though. She's like, wait, what?
Right. So she goes into the story.
So I really should have touched on it first, but also another reason why I chose to do this is because Misery is coming in a future month. And
Oh.
I've been really wanting to fucking talk about a Kathy Bates movie.
Okay.
And as soon as I saw Fried Green Tomato, I was like, oh, Kathy Bates is in it. Let's do this.
Actually, I've seen parts of Misery.
You have. I remember you telling me about that. Misery is.
I watched it with you.
Oh my! It's a fantastic fucking movie. It's so good, and the biggest reason is Kathy Bates.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. You always forget how good Kathy Bates is in a film until you spend some time with one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because automatically you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot people could act.
Right.
And I bet with all the trauma acting we've seen,
Oh my God.
I bet you're having a fucking amazing time.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. And now Susan Sarandon was considered for the role of Evelyn here. But Sarandon can't have all the goddamn roles. I mean,
No.
she's literally been in everything. You'll hear that time and time again. Like if we were to talk about normal movies like this, well, every movie's a normal movie, but you know what I mean? A dramedy like this movie.
Right.
You'll hear that time and time again where it's like, well, Susan Sarandon was considered. No,
Okay, calm down.
I want Susan Sarandon. Like, I just feel like at one point, Susan Sarandon was the go-to for all these movies. And everybody's like, well, we can't keep trying to get her in our movies. This is too much. But Avnet he did work with Kathy Bates before on the film Men Don't Leave. It's a television film. Now, actually, Chris O'Donnell, who plays Buddy here in this movie, Buddy Sr. We'll get to Buddy Jr. later. But Buddy Sr. both involve trains. My God.
Right.
I think they're cursed.
I think so.
But he was in that film too, you know, alongside Kathy Bates. He I think he starred in it and she co-starred, which is really funny to think about. Now, what a lot of people don't touch on is the wide range Kathy Bates can hit with her acting. I think that's what a lot of people, and I've seen so many goddamn movies, so I can attest to this, because she can do horror, like in Misery and American Horror Story. She's the best part of those later seasons is Kathy Bates.
Oh yeah.
And she could do comedy. I mean, I think she was in Bad Santa 2, where she played his foul-mouthed mother.
Oh, that's funny.
It's so funny. And I mean, here she does some great comedy as well. You know, I mean, this isn't just a straight drama. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people think it's just straight drama, but it does have some very funny moments.
Right.
It's a very good movie. But no, here she does just a fantastic job with the drama too. You know,
I agree. I was reading. I'm sorry. So Ninny says she remembers the day that they pulled the truck from the river, and that it was the same day that Iggy was arrested for the murder of Frank Bennett. But to explain Iggy, she had to go back to her brother Buddy.
I feel like these Virginia Slip. Oh God. I feel like I should be playing a slot machine and yelling for another drink or something.
Bring me another mint julep.
Okay, but the penny machine, the nickel machine, the $5 machine, which one?
I only play the pennies. I don't go above a penny.
Okay. Just betting a penny the whole time. That's weird.
No, don't look at my machine. You're going to ruin the luck.
Just like rubbing the machine.
Yes. What is that? What is that? When they sit there and rub the fucking machine?
It's for luck, apparently.
So fucking weird, man. And I'm like, if you've seen, because I worked in a casino, and I'm like, if you've seen the amount of fucking that happened on your machine, lady, you would not be rubbing any part of your body on that thing.
That's gross.
Oh, God. But Ninny is played wonderfully by Jessica Tandy, who had read the script and jumped right on this role. Like she was immediately on there. Tandy has also been in some horror as well. She played Lydia Brenner in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, which is a movie we've got to get to some point.
Okay.
So let's talk about a movie told in flashbacks. Like, do you like this kind of like construct in a film?
I do when it's done right. I feel like it could be done really choppy, but this doesn't feel like that.
No. I mean, we've seen choppy.
That's what I mean.
We've seen choppy flashbacks on this show.
That's what I mean.
So I actually don't like many movies that have people sitting around in present day talking about the past.
Right.
Because usually sometimes it's done right and sometimes it's done wrong, like you said.
Mhm.
When it's done wrong, it's usually the ones where they're sitting there talking about things in the past, or we go to flashback and it's just a conclusion we already know of.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, why didn't you just tell this in a normal narrative and then get to this point? Like, my best example for that is like people sitting at a funeral talking about someone who died, and then it's flashbacks of that.
Right.
And then it ends at them at the funeral. Like, you've solved nothing. You've really gained nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when I think it's done wrong. But, movies like Forrest Gump, and they do that right in that movie, I believe. And sometimes, though, like I said, it's tedious and it just offers nothing. Like in Bette Midler's For the Boys. That's another movie. That's a movie that does that wrong. I'm getting very film school here. Well, I mean, we're talking Oscar nominated on Night of the Hortophile, you guys. Oscar nominated. We got to get a little serious, you know. Penis. I don't know. There's no penis jokes to be had.
No.
I don't know where to put a penis joke.
You don't need to.
I'm lost. The reason this movie succeeds, though, is the characters. I think if you didn't have this cast and this such a good amount of powerhouse acting, this whole movie falls apart.
Right.
Like, because it is very predictable. Like, that's the thing. Well, parts are predictable. Here's what I don't agree with the critics that this was just straight predictable, because that's how a lot of critics like reviewed it as.
Right.
That, oh no, it's just predictable. I knew what it had. It's like, I didn't see what eventually happens to Frank happening.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand how that would be predictable. In
Right.
Forrest Gump, no one ate somebody. That would have been surprising.
Right.
And then we barbecued Bubba.
Barbecue Bubba.
We had to eat.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
It was just me, Lieutenant Dan. And we cut off his legs to eat again.
I'll get you.
Again. And we killed a man again.
And I was shot in the buttocks again.
I had about 20 Dr. Pepper pieces. That was the name of our other friend, Dr. Pepper.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
So she tells about the day that their sister was getting married. Buddy runs through the house to get dressed. That's Idgie's brother. And Idgie refuses to come down for the wedding. And Leona, the sister that's getting married, says that Idgie is going to ruin the wedding. So Idgie finally comes down and beats up one of her brothers for making fun of her. Then she runs to the treehouse to hide, and Buddy follows her. He tells her some sweet stories, and then she finally comes down for the wedding. But she's now dressed in a suit instead of the dress.
Okay, so Mary Louise Parker and Mary Stuart Masterson, who play Idgie and Ruth, along with Fanny Flagg, were strongly in support of the film depicting the lesbian relationship between Ruth and Idgie that's apparently was very prominent in the book.
Oh.
These two were in love.
I can tell.
Yes, that's what I meant. That's something that I meant, that like when you learn that was originally a plot point, you watch this movie again and
Yeah.
it has a whole new level of impact. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But however, it was 1991 and the producers, along with Avnet, decided to excise that scene, probably because they would have been blasted into oblivion, in 1991 by a movie-going audiences that were probably not ready to fucking see that. Yeah,
Right.
It's so fucked up. But later in the film, though, there is a food fight. And Avnet said that he considered that an analogy for the love scene between the two that didn't get included.
Oh.
And it sounds weird coming from me, but when
Right.
you do watch that food fight scene in this movie, like, it kind of makes sense how it's shot and played out.
Right.
It's sensual. I don't know how a food fight could get sensual, but that's how it is.
Right. So after the wedding, Buddy, Idgie, and Ruth, Ruth is the girl that Buddy has a crush on. They go walk around the town. Buddy and Ruth are kissing, and her hat flies off. So Buddy chases it down the train track, and his foot gets stuck.
And remember, everybody, don't chase your partner's hat onto the tracks.
No.
Just let that shit go. Buy a new one.
So the train starts down the tracks and he can't get his foot out. The girls watch the whole thing and start screaming. The whole town comes to see what happened, and he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times did you cry during this movie?
Too many.
Too many? Did you cry at the scene?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
I mean, close
playing
to-
it back on this show, it's probably not going to be any like emotional content because we're making too many jokes.
Right.
But like, this one does get me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, it's the acting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, imagine a whole different cast.
Yeah, no.
Like, it just, a cast of nobodies couldn't have pulled this off, you know?
Of course. So Iggy doesn't end up going to the funeral. She runs off and is now sleeping by the river. And the only person she wants to talk to is Big George.
So Chris O'Donnell gets plowed down by a train pretty early in the movie. He'd go on to play Robin, though, to everybody. Batman Forever.
Oh, okay. Sure.
A train probably should have hit him in those movies. But now it's time for train facts with Lee. So the locomotive in this film is an Atlanta and West Point 290, a Pacific built by the Lima Locomotive Works in 1936. Now, this thing operated in 1954 when it was retired and placed on display, then donated in 1961 to the Atlanta chapter of the National Railway Historical Society, which then restored it to operation in the 1980s. As of 2017, it's being restored again in Georgia. Did anyone want to know that?
No.
Interesting, though. I just thought that for such a pivotal scene, we should learn the killer. You know, we should learn the background of the killer. You know?
Nobody asks about the
true
killer.
villain of this movie is the locomotive. I'm just saying. I mean, and the KKK. But the locomotive is the true villain, just waiting in the shadows.
Not really waiting in the shadows. It's really like right there in your fucking face the whole fucking time. The whole town is called Whistle Stop. The whole town.
Okay, good point. But still, you know, you want to learn those backgrounds of your characters, you know?
The characters? Okay.
So basically, Chris O'Donnell got killed by the scenery.
Oh my God. Anyway, so Ed comes to tell Evelyn that it's time to go. And this obviously takes us out of the story into real time. Later, Evelyn goes to class for women to learn to get the spark back in their marriage.
And man, these classes are all over. They're still around today where it's like...
I don't think they're as extreme as this.
You don't think so?
No.
I've never attended one, obviously. I never had to learn how to get my husband to love me again. But
I don't think they have those anymore. I think they have Facebook groups now.
oh, that's true. Yeah, Facebook and the internet has ruined people, you know, getting money out of people this way. It kind of ruined the...
So her Evelyn's friend is actually Yoga Jones from Orange is the New Black.
Right. That's right.
I had to point that out. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So Evelyn has this weird fantasy about wrapping herself in plastic wrap and waiting for Ed to come home. Her friend snaps her out of it and tells her that she's living in the dark ages.
I love wrapping herself in plastic wrap.
Yes. And I don't know if you'll go into it, but I will definitely go into why she's living in the dark ages.
Yes. I'll let you touch into that. There's
Okay.
a lot of themes here I'd rather you touch into and me not mansplain to our audience. So feel free to touch into those. But now the woman here trying to help people get the spark back is the book's author, Fannie Flagg.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So her friend, as you say, was in Orange is the New Black, and that's Constance Schulman. Now, you also know her as the voice of Patricia Patty Mayonnaise from Nickelodeon's Doug.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I knew she did something else.
You know, she was actually, we've mentioned Still Magnolias like twice so far.
Yeah.
She was actually in the original stage production of Still Magnolias, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Nice. So I say that Evelyn is living in the dark ages because I don't know what year that this takes place.
I think they do their best. I mean, obviously cell phones weren't around and the internet wasn't a thing, but
Right.
they do their best to try to make it modern day, like a timeless piece.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I mean,
so
but if you really dug into it, yeah, I guess it would take place in 91.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes place in 91. But Evelyn makes sure that she cooks Ed's dinner every night when he gets home, gives him a beer, dresses very modestly, wears dresses every day,
Mm-hmm.
does her makeup every day, and is like a chipper housewife.
Yeah, she's the stereotypical 50s housewife, really.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
which is a thing that was dying in the 90s.
Right.
That was a thing that was starting to die in the 90s. It took it a long time to fully die. I mean, we're still dealing with it now.
Right. But that was really loud. Sorry. But you can tell, because this is kind of one of the themes in this movie too, is that she's stuck back there in the 50s, and all of these women are progressing.
Right. I mean, feminism. I apparently cannot speak today. Feminism does play a huge role in this movie. I think that's something we should definitely discuss, or as we go. We don't have to discuss it all right now.
Right.
But it does play a huge part of this movie.
Yes.
And I think that's why it's important that we do. I mean, I like that we're highlighting this, not just because it's a joke. I mean,
right.
It is very funny that we're covering this on a horror movie podcast, but really, I thought it was a great opportunity to show you guys, like our listeners and you, that even though like we love the horror genre, we're stuck in the horror genre, not so much Brittany, but me and the listeners, it's important to step outside your comfort zone and watch some other films.
Yeah, I know. That's what our whole fucking podcast is based on.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine.
So Ed comes home from work and Evelyn has dinner on the table, beer's ready for him. He doesn't sit with her though. He takes his food to the TV and watches a sports game.
Mm-hmm.
She asks Ed what he would do if she was wearing only plastic wrap when he got home, and he says that he would check her into the loony bin.
Is that how he got his last name? Is the couch he sits on?
I don't know.
So Evelyn is battling with what a lot of women go through in their relationships, and that's when things get too comfy and stuff starts slogging. I think
right.
And we discussed relationships a lot on the show sometimes, I think it's a problem when you lose yourself inside the relationship. I mean, whether you might find yourself, you wake up one day and you're like, I have no personal identity. Like, I'm a mother and a wife. I have nothing here for me.
Right.
And as a woman, is that something you have to deal with a lot?
A lot.
Yeah.
I dealt with it a lot last year.
Yeah.
Losing my job, and then I was like, oh, fuck. Like.
Which is weird because, losing your job's a big thing. But,
right.
Sometimes it just takes a little thing to remind you that, oh, fuck.
Yes.
Who the fuck am I?
Yes, exactly. I was going to make a point, but I don't remember what it was. Never mind. Never mind.
Penis. I don't know.
No. We're not talking
more
about
dong in drama comedies.
Absolutely the fuck not. So back at the nursing home, they go to see Ed's aunt. Evelyn has to wait in the waiting room again, and Ninny is there, and she explained earlier that she is only there to stay with Miss Otis, which I explained.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wrote that. Anyway, she says now that she will be staying longer than she thought, and that she says that she misses home and the fried green tomatoes from the cafe. And then she goes into more of the story about Iggy.
Now, as I said, Mary Stuart Masterson plays Iggy. Masterson actually started acting before the age of 10 when she had appeared in The Stepford Wives, the 1975 version, not the newer terrible flick with Matthew Broderick. It's a travesty what they did with that remake. But one movie among her many great performances, she's an amazing actor, was a flick called Bad Girls, which nobody fucking talks about this movie anymore. And I'm very confused because I liked it, but maybe society doesn't. It's the tale of 4 working girls in the Old West who band together to become outlaws.
Oh.
Yeah, nobody discusses this anymore.
I want to watch this movie.
Yeah, it had Madeline Stowe, Drew Barrymore, and Andy McDowell.
I want want to watch this
Yeah,
movie.
it's a fantastic movie. It's like a feminist Young Guns. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't. But okay.
Oh, you haven't seen Young Guns? I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, Brittany really enjoyed Mary Stuart Masterson in this flick. You sent me a picture, and I was hosting, which I guess I can talk about it now because I'm done doing it. But I was hosting the watch along on Twitter on the Mutant Fam Twitter account during the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there tweeting with a bunch of people, keeping the comedy going. And Brittany sends me a picture. And what did it say? Something about, would you? Or something. I was like, what?
No, I don't
You
remember
implied
what.
that she was hot.
She is hot.
and 10 out. No, I know she's hot, but I mean, you were like 10 out of 10 or something.
I don't remember what
I was like,
said.
really?
Yeah,
it was just weird because that's not the typical girl I see you like drooling over. You know?
I know, but something about her. Maybe it was her in this movie. I don't know. Like I was. Just
Well,
like,
Mary Stuart Masterson, like Drew Barrymore, like Andy McDowell, she carries herself a certain way.
right.
All the characters she usually plays are very like, not badass, but sure of themselves.
Confident.
Confident. There you go. That's
Yeah.
the word I was looking. Sure of themselves makes them sound like a dickhole. But
Confidence.
Yes, yes.
And confidence is sexy.
yes, it's very much as I found out. Everybody thinks I'm sexy all of a sudden.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Ninny says that Iggy was never the same after Buddy died. She didn't go home much, and only Big George knew where to find her. The only day her mom sent for her was the same day that she met Frank Bennett for the first time. She introduced herself as Tawanda to him and then blows him off.
Which Tawanda, throughout the movie, becomes a sort of battle cry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So she goes to see her mom and says that, her mom says that Ruth is staying for the summer. Then we quickly realize that Ruth was invited for the summer to try to get Iggy to stay back home.
Which again, when you when you know what we know now about that lesbian romance and stuff in the book, and it's kind of implied here a lot. Like,
Yeah, once they start hanging out. Yeah.
now, of course, we all know Mary Louise Parker, who plays Ruth. Her and Kevin Nealon were the only good parts of that television show, Weeds. But and her to an extent. But when you watch this movie, you realize she's actually a really good actor.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
So what the fuck happened after Weeds?
I have no idea.
Because it was like, I don't know, partway through one of the last seasons, she started sucking.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know if she just was like, fuck acting. I don't fucking know. Because then she was in that terrible Ryan Reynolds Men in Black knockoff, R.I.P.D.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Did not a good movie. But, and she was in Red Sparrow for like a hot second.
What?
Yeah, she like a hot second.
Oh, I guess I didn't catch her.
She's not in it for very long, and then she's been on TV a bit, but it's just nothing great. After,
Right.
Like after Weeds,
Maybe she didn't need anything after Weeds.
She probably did make a shit ton of money off that show.
Yes. So Iggy had run off when she realizes why Ruth is there. So Big George drives Ruth. I keep saying Ruth. Ruth to find her. Iggy's playing poker with Sheriff Grady and doesn't want to go with Ruth. So Ruth takes her money till she gets in the car. She acts like she's going to get in the car, but then gets out of the car. And Ruth calls her selfish and said that she isn't the only one that lost Buddy. And Iggy says, shame on her for forgetting him, though.
No, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, shame on her.
Chris O'Donnell got hit by a train.
10
By
years
a
ago.
train.
10 years ago.
He got hit by the namesake of the town.
The namesake of the town. Was oh my gosh.
This town killed him. It's cursed.
Anyway, a few days later, Ruth finds Iggy fishing in the river. A few days later, I don't know how many fucking days. There's no time limit on this. There's no times on this.
Again, like I said, if you didn't have the acting in this movie, it would be so fucking ridiculous. It wouldn't. This movie would suck.
Right. Ruth says that she just wants Iggy to get to know her. So they wait till after dark, hop on a train car, they wait for it to start moving, and then throw the food that's in the train car out to the homeless people that live by the tracks.
Can you hop a train anymore these days? Does that work anymore?
I don't know. I've never been that close to a train.
I just saw my fat ass trying to hop a train and falling under it.
And that's how you die. Did you know?
Did I know?
Did you know that a lot of people get killed by trains in a year?
Yeah.
A lot of people. And it's always their fault. It's never the train's fault.
Are they trying to get hit by the train?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's never the train's fault. Because if your car stops in the middle of the train tracks, get out of the fucking car.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If my car stalls in the middle, I don't care what I'm driving. I ain't getting hit for it.
Exactly.
I'll find a way.
Get the fuck out of the way.
I'll find a way to drive. It'll be fine.
When the barriers are down, don't fucking go around them.
Yeah, and then you have the people trying to beat the trains, which is still an ongoing problem, people.
Yes.
Why is that a problem still?
So it's 100% your fault if you get hit by a train.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't really Buddy's fault.
Okay. I'm talking about 2021.
Okay, good point. Good point.
If you're walking in the train track and your shoe gets stuck, it's still your fault. Shouldn't have been walking in the train track. Shouldn't have been walking in the train track.
I guess. I'm still just saying that's a tragic accident. I don't think it's that person's fault.
Why was he walking in the train track?
I don't know. Irony? Anyway, moving on.
Oh, I just thought of something, though.
What's up?
It's kind of funny, though. Speaking of trains.
Uh-huh.
So, you remember in Joe Dirt?
Oh, God.
When Brandy's dad gets hit by the train.
Yes.
But he doesn't die. He just loses his leg.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why I had that thought.
Well, Joe Dirt did make fun of a lot of movies like this.
Oh, okay.
Like, there was a lot of satire in them on movies. That's why that sequel did not work. Joe Dirt 2.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, because, they made fun of what is that fucking Jimmy Stewart movie?
I have no idea.
Fuck. It's a Wonderful Life is what
okay.
that movie was riffing on, and it just doesn't work. It's not good.
Oh, okay.
You can tell David Spade didn't want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably like, I'm fucking like 50 years old. I'm wearing this stupid fucking wig.
Anyway. So they get down a little ways, and Iggy tells Ruth that they have to jump off the train, or they're going to have to walk back like 5 miles. And Iggy has to do a little bit of convincing, but Ruth finally jumps off. And Iggy jumps off and hurts her ankle, and Ruth has to walk her back to town.
Which, like I said, man, knowing what we know now, a lot of this makes more sense. Because these two were falling in love.
And the train track? and the train car?
Through this whole situation.
I know.
You see what I mean?
Yes. Because Ruth is falling in love with Iggy's soft side.
Yes.
Of feeding the homeless people. Anyway.
Hey, you were falling in love with Iggy. So I mean, you see what Ruth sees, so you're good.
I see it. I see it.
You got this. I mean, Chris O'Donnell or Iggy. Which one you choosing? Chris O'Donnell.
Who's Chris O'Donnell?
Buddy, he got hit by irony.
Oh, he.
Yeah. Earlier in the movie. Remember him?
Yes.
Shame on you for forgetting.
I didn't know his for real name. I didn't know his for real life name.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
Why couldn't she have both?
I mean, you can. We figured that out.
Anyway. So the next day, they take Iggy's brother's car, Julian, and they go for a picnic. While they're there, Iggy tells Ruth to stay where she is, takes a jar, walks over to a beehive, sticks her hand in, pulls out a honeycomb, and then walks back over like she didn't do a fucking thing. Like she just performed fucking magic. And Ruth calls Iggy a bee charmer. And she just like breathless from this.
Have you ever known anyone that kept bees?
No.
Oh, we did. And, well, okay, in school we did. One of our teachers kept bees. And for a field trip, like, we got to go to his beehives.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
literally did this. Like, just reached into the thing and pulled it out.
So what I'm learning from TikTok, and I know this is very weird, but I've seen a lot of this on TikTok, and it's mostly about your movements.
It is.
And if you just move real slow, they won't.
Well,
they may sting you,
and
but
that's why a lot of people have found beekeeping therapeutic. Because, you know, you think, I mean, what's his... fuck, I can't remember anyone's name tonight. Morgan Freeman, he keeps bees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you think, you know, why do people just get into beekeeping? Like, what is that? Like, what drives?
Right.
Well, because you have to be so calm, like, and stuff, and you calm movements and, you know, moving steady and stuff like that.
Right.
Because you have to do that, people find that very therapeutic.
Oh.
Yeah, so usually that's why people get into beekeeping.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And the honey. I mean, come on.
Oh, honey.
Oh, honey.
So sometime later, the rough people that Iggy is friends with have a birthday party for Ruth. Ruth says that she doesn't play poker and she never drinks. But a little bit later, Ruth is drunk and playing baseball with everybody. They then go swimming, and Ruth says that she hasn't ever had so much fun. And Iggy tells Ruth that she needs to stop worrying about what other people think. And Ruth says that she will end up taking care of her mom and her husband. And she tells Iggy that after the summer, she will be getting married to Frank Bennett.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun,
So Ruth leaves for the summer, or leaves after the summer. And she ends up getting married. And Iggy's invited to the wedding, but she doesn't attend. She just watches from afar.
Right.
Because she's a bitter ex. No, I'm just kidding.
Kinda. Again.
Not bitter, but she's
not
in
bitter.
love.
Yeah. Doesn't this make a lot more sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I do enjoy. Now I want to read the book.
I know.
Like,
I was
after
thinking the
this,
same thing.
Now I want to read this book because I'm like, wow, that does add a whole new layer to this movie. And
Right.
it's so weird that it's there, but they got rid of it at the same time. And I wonder if Abnett did that just to keep that kind of thing going, because it's there.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
After learning this about this movie, now it's very apparent. You know?
Right. Oh, and Iggy vows to never see Ruth again. Because she is
Yeah, she's scorned.
scorned. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
So yeah, earlier we learned about Iggy and the bees and stuff like that. And that actually had a huge influence on Mary Stuart Masterson, who went on to actually start keeping bees.
Oh, nice.
You know, she said ever since that role, she felt like she was living a sham, and bees give her a personal peace.
Oh.
You know, so like I said, that's why people get into beekeeping. It's very interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
Penis. I don't know.
No. No.
Penis.
This is all about killing the penis.
It is. Which you think? No, we'll talk about it later. I want to know, like, what that is, like, cooked up. You know, like,
Oh my!
is it the best barbecue? Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, Evelyn is at another woman's meeting, and they're going to explore their vaginas.
Sorry, this is probably something real. Like, I'm sure there is a thing where people are like discovering their vaginas and learning about them because our society has fucking beaten that the vagina is a disgusting thing. So, but like, it's just, we keep doing this in this movie. We go from something heartwarming and very dramatic to just like vaginas. It's great.
It is great. So Evelyn's a little embarrassed because she has to go take her girdle off before she can do anything. Then later at home, she has dinner made for Ed, and he still doesn't sit down to eat with her. And she goes over and she's just blabbering on and on to him. And she tells him that she wants a vacation. And, you know, he just blows her off.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
No, go ahead.
We've been married almost 5 years, right?
Yes.
And it's very easy to get into the routine of going to work, coming home, doing home things.
It is.
Or not even doing home things. Like, if we didn't have any kids at home, like just sitting down and eating dinner in front of the TV and watching TV and then going to bed.
We learned that at the 5-year mark, I think.
The 4-year mark.
The 4-year mark. Sorry.
Right.
With quarantine and everything, time's gotten away from me. But yeah, we learned that at the 4-year mark. You know, we learned that you cannot stop talking to each other.
Right.
Like, yeah, there is such thing as just chilling and vibing with each other, and not a word can be spoken and all that romantic bullshit. But
right.
But you still got to sit down and talk to each other like constantly, because if you stop, you fall into this rut where you're just so comfortable, like, and it's a bad comfortable, you know?
Right. Because you're not.
It's like getting comfortable on the freeway. Like, you don't necessarily want to do that, because then you're not paying attention fully.
Right. And then you wake up and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, fuck, here we go. Here's a truck. Blam.
Right. Oh shit, I'm driving.
Then you get
here.
hit by a train.
Oh, they can't see me. So don't let your relationships die like that, okay?
No, don't. Always talk to each other.
Communication is key.
And don't lie. You know, that's the one thing.
Oh my God, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing we've learned a lot of, is that, like, and I'm not sitting here saying we have the perfect fucking relationship.
Oh God, no.
Nobody does. There's no perfect relationship. There's no perfect anything when it comes to humans. But, like, we learned that, like, you can't hold back anything.
Right.
Like, even if it's something as simple as, hey, I want to do it in the butt next week. Like, don't hold that back. For some reason, anything you hold back in a relationship, you dwell on.
Right.
And then you start maybe not liking the other person because of it. And then that's not fair.
And you have to remember something I have to
I'm
remember.
not exclusively talking about butt sex, people. I'm just making a point. I'm making an example.
Relationship advice from Lee and Brittany. One thing that I did learn from last year and stuff like that, and I'm continuing to learn, is nothing is too small. Like, most of the time I'm like, I don't want to bother him with that.
Yes.
And
you
it's
are
like,
correct.
No, you should bother him with that, because what those little things stack on to be.
Yes. Massive things later on.
Yes.
And you know that it goes both ways.
Massive.
It's not, you
goes
know,
both ways. Sorry.
I'm massive and I go both ways. But no, like no, and it goes for both people in the relationship. It's not just one or the other. You know, guys listening right now, that's for you too. Don't hold back on the small stuff. If something's bothering you or something you want to talk about, don't shove it away and be, oh, I'm a man, I just deal with it. Like,
right. No, speak.
Yeah.
Speak, people.
Speak. Now, this was the first cinematic effort by John Avnet, actually. I should probably mention that, who mainly worked in, like I said, television films. Now, he directed a few other movies like The War, and I believe that has Elijah Wood in it and Kevin Costner, which is another amazing film like this. And it got some pretty good reviews, but he mostly just kind of returned to television movies. But he'd been in Hollywood for the longest time, even working as a producer on 1983's Risky Business, which, have you ever seen that movie?
No.
No? We won't be watching it on this. We've got to limit the the non-genre and non-horror movies, but like very good film, actually. I think, I don't know. I know he's fucking nuts, but I do like Tom Cruise a little bit, you know.
When he's in his underwear?
Tom Cruise isn't hot to me.
No, he's not.
I just like him as an actor. I don't know what it is.
Weird.
I know.
Anyway. So Evelyn goes to see Ninny, and Ninny's hair is purple. This is hilarious to me. We didn't need this.
No,
but
it's just an added bit of humor. You could tell, like, when they were doing this, you can definitely tell when it's like, we need a little humor break.
Right. We're getting a little too serious here.
Yeah.
Dye her hair purple.
And they deploy the humor in this movie that way, and it's nice. It's got a good sense of humor about itself.
Right. So Evelyn says that she wants more of the story. So Ninny goes into it. Iggy goes to see Ruth at her house after she had been married sometime with Frank. When she gets there, Ruth barely talks to her, and Iggy realizes that she has a black eye.
Hey, do you think, when did that song Hey Earl come out by
Oh, the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not called that anymore.
No, just the Chicks.
Right. Hey, Google. What year was Earl Had to Die?
Yeah, that song.
1999.
You think any part of this movie influenced that?
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's just, well, now that we're sitting here talking about it, it's very familiar. If you guys are familiar with that Dixie Chick, or I'm sorry, the Chicks song. I'm so bad at this. The Chicks song.
It's called Goodbye Earl.
Yes. Listen to that song
Goodbye.
and you'll see what we're talking about. We're not going to dwell on it that long because I don't know if anybody knows what that song is. So let's move.
I think they do.
Oh, I'm sure
It's
they
a
do.
very popular song. So Iggy sees this black guy and starts to freak out, and Ruth tells her to leave. And after a little fight, Iggy finally leaves.
So how happy are you we're doing a movie like this? Because I also kind of went with it because you hadn't seen it. Yeah. Like I said earlier. And you love these movies like Still Magnolias.
Yes, I do.
How would you rate how would you rate this amongst those kind of movies? Still Magnolias and Fried Green Tomatoes. I'm trying to get a judge on how well you really enjoyed this movie.
I really regret not knowing this movie longer.
Yeah.
So that I could have watched it as many times as I've seen Steel Magnolias and Forrest Gump and all of these movies.
Do you think this will be a regular viewing? I mean, you watched it twice in a week, so you probably won't watch it for a little while. But
no, turn it on right now.
Yeah? It's one of those movies for you. That's awesome.
I'm going to say, and this is very controversial, don't tell.
If you say it was better than The Thing, I'm going to smack you on.
Well, yeah, it was. This won an Oscar, okay?
The Thing won an Oscar in my heart.
But your heart doesn't count.
I know, it doesn't count for shit.
Not right now.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
I'm thinking I like it better than Forrest Gump.
Wow. There is a lot of movies like this that I like better than Forrest Gump. I find Forrest Gump to be just a dead-on comedy.
Right.
Like, I don't find it's not particularly moving. Maybe the first time I saw it when I was younger and I didn't get the problems with the film.
Right.
Which one of these days, maybe we should, for the Patreon, maybe we should break down Forrest Gump for everybody. That would be actually really fun because there's a lot in that movie that I can point out. But anyway, but yeah, like I'd forgotten about this movie for the longest time until we watched it for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like I watched it and I was like, wow, I don't remember this being so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a feminist movie, so
yeah. Well, and we're older now. There's more. We can respect the themes a lot better.
Are you older?
Physically.
You're getting up there in age, but mentally
I'm a 20-year-ld, which is dangerous.
Not good.
No, not good at all.
You're like, oh,
that's why I've been staying in the house lately. Just keep me away from everybody.
But then, like, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, yep, 34.
That's what that is.
So sometime later, Iggy gets a letter from Ruth about her mother dying. And she included this part in the Bible that hints that Ruth wants to leave. Because she can't outright say that.
Yeah.
And Iggy, Julian, and Big George go to get her. Iggy goes inside and the guys stay outside. That's kind of important.
Yeah.
Ruth tells her that she's pregnant, and the guys are loading up Ruth's stuff when Frank gets home. Frank comes in, hits Ruth, so Iggy jumps on his back and attacks him. He ends up punching her, and the guys finally come in after they hear what's going on, and Frank is carrying Ruth up the stairs. He stops because George pulls a knife.
Yeah.
He finally puts her down and kicks her down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And as they walk out, Iggy threatens to kill Frank. And they drive off yelling to Wanda.
Which, like I said, it's a nice battle cry. I
to
like,
Wanda!
Yeah, I like how that becomes throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we haven't touched on. One character is Big George. He's black, and he's played by Stan Shaw, who I swear got tricked into being in that awful fucking third Jeepers Creepers flick. Stan Shaw is so much fucking better than that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that movie was trash, and they put him in it, and I was like, man, Stan Shaw must be hurting for roles. You guys got to get him.
Maybe he thought it was going to be a good movie.
He's an Oscar-nominated actor, and he was in that pile of garbage. Anyway, but Big George is actually one of the more positive black characters that show up in movies like this. So often you get these kind of characters that act as just a jumping off point for the white characters.
Right.
Or the unfortunate screen trope that is the magical Negro, as Spike Lee put it one time.
Okay.
It's a term.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I was like,
yeah.
What are you saying?
It's a term. Okay, what that is like in films in like The Green Mile.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and Legend of Bagger Vance, where fucking Will Smith plays a dead black ghost who comes back to teach fucking what's his name? Matt Damon how to golf right. It's
What
like,
the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Or hell, even Bubba in Forrest Gump is more of just a canvas for Forrest to paint his story on.
Right,
You know?
right.
But George comes real close to having an actual character in this movie, even though it still kind of feels more like a prop.
I don't know. He was a big part of this movie.
He was. He that's what I said. He almost, it's not a fully fleshed out character is the problem.
Right,
I'm sure,
right.
you know, like I said, never read the book. I wonder if it is in those books, because from what I've read of reviews of Fanny Flagg is she does tend to give people who don't have power in her books.
Nice.
And they said most of what she touches on is feminism and racism, like the dehumanizing effects of racism.
Right. I'm going to have to read this book.
Yeah, we might start a book club. Fuck it.
No.
You don't want to start a book club?
No, I don't.
You're like, I don't want to review anything else.
Shit going on.
Don't make me do things.
I will read the book, and
At your own leisure.
I say I'm going to read the book,
Oh,
right?
if we had a book club, it'd be so bad. We'd be just doing Game of Thrones. Like, 'cause I am so into that series now.
Anyway.
Anywho.
So Evelyn goes to see Ninny after she gets called fat at the grocery store. She's crying and says that she just can't stop eating. Same.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel you.
And she also can't stop crying. Same. Ninny tells her that she thinks that she's going through the change or menopause.
Yes.
She tells Evelyn to go get hormones and get a job.
Okay, I got to ask you, because after watching this movie, and this is something, and I blame myself for being a stupid dude,
Okay.
but like, when you're going through menopause, do you have to go get hormones?
If you want to be sane.
Really? I did not know that. I thought you just had to suffer with it.
No, there's so many hormones that you can take.
I mean, I know what menopause is, you know,
Right.
but I didn't.
No, you could take hormones so that it can level you out. If you're feeling like so wishy-washy like Evelyn's doing here, it's to level you out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't.
Sorry, that was just very interesting, and it's something I did not know.
Yeah, women have to do shit like this, okay?
I was not.
You know what you have to do?
I did
Jerk
not.
off in the toilet every other day.
Ew, in the toilet.
I don't know.
Gross. Do you guys jerk off in the toilet? Who's doing that?
I'm talking about you.
No, I don't jerk off in the toilet. In the shower, you know, because then I can wash. But how would you even? Well, I know how, but like.
No, I'm glad you don't, because then there would just be sperm everywhere.
Yeah, right.
There's already pee everywhere. I don't
I'm very
need
good
sperm
with my
everywhere.
sperm. I keep that contained. You don't see sperm everywhere. So, see? I wash my hands. Most of the time it's in the shower, so nobody's the wiser. So, you know, everything.
You're like, damn it, why do you keep coming to shower with me? I'm just kidding.
This is me time. Yeah, oh, so she does tell her to get a job, and she said, you know, you're going to be great with Mary Kay, you know, you'd be great
Cosmetics.
with cosmetics. And she goes on to work for Mary Kay.
Right.
You know, Fanny Flagg was friends with one of the ladies from Mary Kay and stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh, the start of the MLM.
Oh, man.
So she tells Evelyn, oh, wait, I already wrote that. Sorry. Iggy. Fuck. Start
You
over.
just spoilers.
No. Ninny then tells her about how she went through the change after she had her late in life baby Albert. He was born with issues, and the doctors said he wouldn't develop past 5 years old. And Ninny says that she didn't care about that and chose to keep him because that was her son.
Yeah.
And he ended up living until he was 30 and then dying in his sleep. Oh.
I know, which just an added sad part.
Right?
Like, holy shit, man.
But it really gives some character development.
Right.
On the goodness that is this movie.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it does add a lot to it because there's, it's like a realistic good though.
Because back in this day,
explain it.
Oh, I did not mean to blow into the microphone. So back in this day, on that day, not 1991, but back whenever she was having kids or whatever, they would just put these people in institutions and forget about them.
It's true. I mean, and those institutions were not fucking good. I mean, it took until like Geraldo Rivera cracked down on it.
Yes, I was talking about that at work. We talk about that a lot because we work with people with developmental disabilities. There's this whole group of people called class members, and apparently there was a really bad in Oklahoma. There was a really bad institution.
Yes,
and they ended up beating these patients and torturing them and not feeding them and stuff. Well, everybody that was a class member won this lawsuit and they have tons of money.
Oh, wow.
They're called class members and they're pretty rich.
That's awesome.
There's no limit to the money that they have.
That's actually very awesome.
Yes. So they're very well taken care of now. And after that institution closed, that's when they started in Oklahoma, at least that's when they started doing in-home care for these people.
Oh, okay. That's a good little history lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's one of the things I had to learn in my lessons that I had to do for this job.
Oh,
was about this institution.
That's very interesting, actually.
Right? So it's just it's near and dear to my heart that she took care of her child.
I get it. Yeah, I totally get you.
So back to the story. Ruth had a baby boy that she named Buddy Jr. And after he was born, Iggy's grandfather gave them some money to open the Whistle Stop Cafe.
And we've been to these cafes in these movies and stuff like that. There's all sorts in every fiction thing like this. There's always that cafe.
Right.
I always set at these places. It's so good. I don't know.
It's so great.
It's so wholesome.
Right.
It's just nice. We've been watching a lot of sex and blood and head crushes, and it's nice to have something wholesome on this show at least once.
Right?
Penis.
No. So at the cafe, they serve black people outside and white people inside. And
which is how they would do that at the time. We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Iggy would even send food over when someone was sick and doesn't make them pay it back, which is great. They were just great people. Yeah.
Like I said, this one does handle the themes of that. Like I said, the dehumanizing effects of racism back then.
Right.
You won't see this in Forrest Gump. You don't see that.
Right.
Even when they do almost show it in that movie where it's the school when they get rid of segregation and the women are walking to school, they make it a punchline.
Right.
So it's not even you know what I mean?
Right. And in this movie, the black people, which are the slaves, I don't want to say that, but that's what they are.
Servants.
Servants
is a better word.
I'm so sorry.
Let's not use the word slave.
I'm so
okay.
sorry. Servant. That's what I meant.
The word slave around.
But in this movie, they're treated as family versus the help.
Yeah.
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 because George is such a big part of this. Sipsy is such a big part of this.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like we said, they actually do have characters in this movie. Like it's not
Right.
It's not Bubba just making shrimp jokes. Like it's you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grady tells Iggy that some people don't like that she does that, and she threatens to expose him and the other KKK members.
Uh-huh. Which, the KKK was a secret society. Obviously you didn't want
Right.
to show your face and shit like that, which begs the questions like, have racists always been cowards until, recently?
Yes.
Like, I like now, though, you're starting to see all these racist people like, oh, God, I can't be outwardly racist anymore. I better be quiet about it. It's like, yeah, you already ruined it for yourself, man.
Right.
We all know.
Oh, that's so funny.
The cafe in this movie was shot in a building that was originally a hardware and antique store. The Whistle Stop Cafe, like I said, isn't something we aren't familiar with, but this one sticks in your mind after this movie, though. I don't know. This one really is the highlight of the film. Now, Flagg based the Whistle Stop on a real life Irondale Cafe in Alabama. Oh, Irondale, Alabama. Sorry. Irondale isn't a type of cafe. It's a town. But she frequented it like a lot. In fact, she got the idea to start writing this book after a box her aunt left her full of mementos. And this cafe that she frequented and stuff was originally owned by her great aunt.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So nowadays, there really is a Whistle Stop Cafe in this location, though, that serves fried green tomatoes,
Oh,
which weren't a prominent dish in Southern cooking until this movie came out, by the way, which I'll discuss
really?
later. Yeah. But it's just north of the Macon, Georgia, and it resides in the actual area where they shot this film, like the set.
Oh,
In
nice.
fact, they converted this set into a restaurant after this movie made so much money.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe it's still there, and it's now a tourist attraction.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I want some fried green tomatoes.
Oh,
Have you ever had some?
Yes, they're delicious. We had them at the restaurant we went to.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
We
they're very
did.
good, which is really funny now. Like you'll go to a fancy restaurant and they're on the menu.
Right.
Yeah.
They're so easy to make.
Oh, they really are.
So a man comes into the cafe, or he's in the cafe and he's trying to eat, and Iggy sees him having a hard time. He's shaking.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Smokey.
I fucking love Smokey. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Smokey's a great part of this movie.
And he is the town drunk. I don't think he does anything disorderly. Everybody just
No.
knows he drinks.
Yeah, he's just a town drunk. He's one of those, like, every town had this. Like, we had one in Jinx growing up. I can't remember his name. Joe or something. I don't know. He was just we all knew he was drunk and homeless. And he was the nicest man ever. He's just an old drunk homeless dude. It's like Joe's sleeping on the benches again.
Make sure he gets across the street.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for Joe. He's sleeping somewhere.
So Iggy takes him outside and gives him some alcohol. And later on at night, Ruth goes to his little shack or whatever and brings him a blanket so that he will stay warm.
Yes. And don't discount Smokey. He has a big part in this movie later.
Yes. That's why I brought him up.
Yeah.
Everybody has a part in this movie.
There's no character in this film that isn't non-sequential, non-important.
Right. Except for maybe Iggy's mom.
Yeah, that's a throwaway character.
Right. But she needed to have a mom. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, side characters aside, main characters here.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So Ruth is teaching Iggy how to make fried green tomatoes, and they end up having a huge food fight in the cafe.
That food fight scene I told you about. And did you pick up that this was more than just a food fight?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
They were wrestling on the floor, okay?
It's so hard to describe to you guys that, because I know what you're thinking of is a food fight, and just no. It's it is a love scene without the sex.
And Grady's a little upset here because Grady is in love with Iggy.
Yes.
And he tries to stop them, and Ruth ends up covering his face in icing. And he says that Iggy has been a bad influence on her. And then outside we see that Frank is in town.
Yep. Frank's back. So as I said, fried green tomatoes weren't a huge staple in Southern cooking. You know, hell, and now you can go, like we said, to any fancy dining restaurant and find fried green tomatoes right there on the menu. The original idea for these were a way for, like, if you were growing, you know, you're about to hit the freeze.
Right.
And all you got on the vines are some hard, firm green tomatoes, but you don't want those to go to waste, right?
Right.
So you just pluck them off and you can still eat those suckers. You just salt them up and fry them. You know, that was the original idea for them. Sorry. But there's so many origins to them, and most of them don't come from the South. In fact, recipes for the dish can be found in 20th century Jewish cooking books, like early 20th century Jewish cooking books.
Oh, wow.
One of the earliest things comes from Ohio. So they probably didn't originate in the South, which is a very funny thing to find out, because like it's such a acceptable Southern dish now.
Right.
Like it's
right.
You know, fried green tomatoes is the South. Like when you think
and
about it.
it's probably from this movie.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It really is. And there's been interviews with like people who run restaurants and stuff like that, and they're like, we had it on our menu, but it wasn't a serious thing.
Right.
And then after the movie came out, people were fucking going nuts for them.
I want to eat the tomatoes.
Yeah. They are very good.
So the KKK is in town, right?
Yeah. That always doesn't spell good for anybody.
No. And Frank is one of them.
Of course he is.
Right. He goes into Ruth's house and tries to take the baby. Sipsy is trying to fight him off.
Mm-hmm.
And then Smokey walks in.
I believe Cicely Tyson plays Sipsy, in fact. I didn't really touch on Sipsy as a character in this, but anyway.
Rude.
So I know. I really... There's a lot of characters, and it leads me to think that in the book there's even more characters, because
oh yeah,
all the things I really read about this movie was the fact that they chose characters to be featured.
Right.
So I'm thinking this book is just a bunch of stories, like,
which I'm excited about.
Winded into one, and yeah, it does sound very interesting.
So Smokey walks in and asks Ruth if she's all right. And then in the same breath, another KKK member comes in to get Frank.
Uh-huh.
And Frank tells her that the baby and her will be back with him soon enough. KKK has Big George tied up and they're whipping him. Iggy is in the cafe with Grady. I cannot talk tonight. Iggy's in the cafe with Grady, and they end up shooting through the window, and this is where Iggy notices that they have Big George. They run outside, and Grady demands that they let him go because he is the law. By the way, I don't know if I said before, Grady is the sheriff of this town. So they finally let him go, and Grady realizes that these people aren't from there. This is just another section of the clan from somewhere, from Georgia, because they're in Alabama.
Yes.
And these people came over from Georgia with Frank.
Right. You know, we got to do a whole thing on shooting the shit about the KKK, because if you've ever read their terms and stuff and what they call each other, it is funniest fucking... They are the funniest group of stupid assholes that ever existed. Their terms and shit are good. Grand Dragon Master. It's just fucking,
what the fuck?
It's a bunch of fucking dickless white people got together and created a club. And my God. Yeah, we'll do that on Shooting the Shit, in fact, this week.
Okay.
You're going to hear us rip on the KKK over on Shooting the Shit.
Okay.
As far as boomer history flicks go, though... This one, like I said, it's honestly less offensive than most of the rest, mostly because it does depict the nasty and, again, dehumanizing effects of racism and sexism in the South, actually. Fannie Flagg often weaved these kind of into her novel, giving, like I said, giving power to people who just didn't have it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, even back when she probably wrote this, I think was 1986, I think, when this novel came out or something. But even when she wrote it, people like this still didn't have power, you know?
Right.
It's still
right.
a struggle. In fact, you can see the women in the black characters have a lot more authority and wisdom than is depicted in other movies like this. In this movie, like they're just smarter.
Right. Right.
Like I think that's why it's so comparable to Steel Magnolias in at least the feminist way. You know what I mean? At least in the woman way.
Right.
I mean, even Forrest Gump, which it sounds like I'm hating on that movie, but I do enjoy Forrest Gump. But even in that movie, though, women and black people don't offer any much wisdom quantities. Very, you know,
Right.
there's not a lot to offer there. Take the line, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. It's kind of dumb when you think about it, because a box of chocolates has a fucking guide that comes with it and tells you what's in it.
Right.
It always has. There's no deep wisdom in that movie, just common sense. But in this movie, I mean, all of it's common sense. I think it's so funny because you hear people take Forrest Gump quotes and quote it like it's something deep and profound.
It ain't.
It's like, Mama said people go to Vietnam and they come back with no legs.
Did you just make that up?
But no, I paraphrased, but that is a quote from that movie.
Oh, you're fucking with
Yeah.
your reference. I was like, what the hell?
But that's what I mean. It's all common sense, and when you recite it out of context, you're like, all right. Like, cool.
Right.
But I think the most impactful scene we do get here, with at least the racist side, the theme of racism,
Mm-hmm.
is that scene where they serve Big George at the cafe.
Where they serve him.
Yeah, they insist on serving black people
Oh.
and Big George. You know, they see him.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
he sits down. He eats
Right.
with everybody else.
I was
you know.
like, just George? What? I'm confused.
Yeah, it's just very impactful because it kind of sets in motion. Like, that's one of the reasons I think Big George killed Frank later, as we find out. Yeah.
Right. So that was the last time they saw Frank until the night of the town Follis.
Uh-huh.
Ruth was at a revival and Iggy was playing in the Follis. I guess is how she was in the play.
Yeah.
Whatever. Frank rolls up, goes inside the house, punches Sipsy, and takes the baby. Big George goes and gets Iggy and says that she needs to come quick, so they run through the town.
Uh-huh.
Frank makes it to the truck when Smokey shows up and says that he probably shouldn't be going anywhere with Ruth's baby.
Yeah.
Frank punches Smokey, and then Frank gets hit over the head, but we don't see who hits him.
Yes.
And we don't see what happens after that.
So again, Smokey played an important role here.
Yeah. Oh, there's more.
There's a lot more, actually. So the eventual fate of Frank, which we will get to, caused some confusion amongst some friends of mine in school, and this is lending more background story on why I think it's funny to do the whole Stephen King bit. But I think it was middle school. Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm old, so this was kind of before everyone had the internet in their pockets.
Right.
So, okay. But I remember an argument starting that Stephen King wrote the book that this was based on.
Right.
There was I used to hang out with a lot of film people, even in middle school. But I remember that argument started, and I blame the fact that Kathy Bates is in this and she was in Misery, you know, which around the same time. I think Misery came out in 1990 and this came out in 91.
Okay.
So, you know, which, by the way, damn, Kathy Bates.
Right.
2 great performances. But from then on, it's been kind of an inside joke, though, because nobody would believe me when I was like, no, it was not written by Stephen King.
Right.
Well, who's it written by? I don't know, but it's not written by Stephen King.
He did not write this.
No, he wrote Stand By Me, and that may cause a little confusion, too, because Stand By Me is a feel-good movie, but it does involve them taking a trip to see a corpse.
Oh.
I do think the fate of Frank, though, maybe plays a part in that misconception. I don't know if anybody gets that misconstrued anymore.
I don't know.
Like, because I haven't heard that in a long time. But back when I was younger, I did hear that a lot.
Oh,
People
really?
thought Stephen King wrote this. And
Why?
I
That's so
don't
weird.
know. I don't know. But from then on out, I would just tell people that, and they would just take my word for it. Oh, Fried Green Tomatoes. Isn't that based on a book? Oh, yeah, man. It was by Stephen King. It's a good one. Really? Yeah. Oh, man, I'll have to read it. Like, you're not going to look this up?
Nope.
And then I wonder if they do look it up later, and they're like, well, I'm not going to say anything now.
Now I look really
I
stupid.
look like a fucking moron.
Right.
So that's where the joke came from, and that's why I convinced you for like a month that Stephen King wrote this.
No, you said that, and I was like, cool. It wasn't like I gave it a second thought.
I know. I kind of wish you kind of like were more excited, but
cool.
I don't think. I think Brittany's excitometer has gone down on this show. She does not get excited for the next movie, and it works even better. Because if the next movie's good, it's a surprise to you. You're like,
Right.
oh, it was so good.
Right. We'll see how the next movie.
We will see. I'm very excited about this one. Anyway, we'll tell everybody what the next movie is later.
Okay. So sometime later, a man named Sheriff Smoot comes to town to try and find Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Frank had told his men that he was going to Alabama to see his wife and baby, but never showed up back home.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
After I say something.
Yeah.
So he ends up staying and eating a ton of barbecue.
Yeah.
He asks Iggy to sit down, and he says that he knows who she is and that she had threatened to kill Frank before. He says if Frank is found dead, then she's in trouble.
Mm-hmm. I did it again. I'm sorry.
And he even goes and questions George at his home. Ruth tells Iggy that she thinks that she should move on. She doesn't want to be selfish and says that she doesn't want Iggy to worry about her. Ruth asks Iggy where she was when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And all Iggy tells her is that she doesn't have to worry about Frank anymore, but that she didn't kill him. She says that she doesn't want Ruth to move out. And this would all make more sense. This little scene would all make more sense if they were in a lesbian relationship.
Right?
I'm just
That's
saying.
what I'm saying.
saying.
Yeah. Do you see where I'm saying like the context has changed after you've learned that? And you're like, wow, this is completely different.
Right.
This is a whole different fucking ballgame. Where are you with this movie so far as you're watching it? Like, are you seeing, well, first of all, do you see what happens at the end coming? Like,
No.
I feel like that's what I meant by like predictable. I don't think so, you guys.
Right. I mean, I like it so far.
Uh-huh.
And I know this is weird, but I just want a Ruth and Iggy movie. Like I could do without the whole Evelyn and Ninny and all of that.
It's one of the best friendships in a fictional story.
Yes.
Like even with with or without the lesbian or the love, it's like, and maybe that's what it is. Like, I think it's the love there.
Right.
Like it is a romantic thing. Like even if they tried their best to take it out, I mean, how do you take that out?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's
agree. Still there. So then maybe that's what makes it even better. Like the only other movie I could tell you that has the same kind of weight is that Thelma and Louise. You know, there's that movie and stuff like that. There's a few other movies I can't think of off the top of my head, but like, it's definitely their friendship. You know what I mean?
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Evelyn's trying to find a parking spot at the grocery store.
This is one of my favorite scenes.
And when she finally finds one, these young girls pull in and take the spot from her. So she kind of goes a little crazy and ends up yelling, "Tawanda!" and smashing the car over and over again until it moves out of the spot. She then goes to see Ninny. She says that she is feeling good and that she's And she keeps talking about all of these people and how she would beat them up and kill them because she just feels so good.
Have you ever felt that good where you want to go on a murder spree?
Yes.
I have too.
Nenny was like, how many hormones did they give you?
It's like, I feel amazing. I could kill so many people this week. I'm ready.
What?
I'm ready to murder. It's like, whoa. Hang on. Last week you were crying. Slow it down a little bit. But I love Ruth and Iggy's story. Like we've been praising this entire thing. But I think it's also super interesting with Evelyn, and Ninny. Like that story is also just as interesting. With how how Evelyn is dealing with finding the courage and deal with her own life.
Right.
Through this story.
Right.
In the course of a movie, we see this helpless woman basically discover herself. And I think that's one of the many positive parts of this film.
Right. I agree.
Like I said,
words.
I don't want to mansplain the feminism in this movie. So I think share your thoughts of the feminist aspects of this.
What do you mean?
Well, how are you feeling? Is it empowering? Is it like put yourself in Evelyn's spot? Like if somebody was telling you this story of these two women, would that empower you? I don't know how that would feel. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Like what is your viewpoints on that? Like how is
I think if I was Evelyn, then yeah. Because she is so stuck back in the 1950s and she didn't know how to get out of that. And so hearing the story of these women that lived even before the 50s and were doing these great things, it's kind of amazing to hear that and realize that she can do these things too. All she has to do is get up and do them.
That she has it in her to be courageous.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that whether someone's telling you the stories, you're reading the stories, you're watching a movie, whatever, I really feel like those stories help a lot. And I think that's why women tell a lot of stories.
It's true. I mean, movies in general do that, and movies are stories, I think that's one thing people forget. That so it's okay if a movie helps you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it's perfectly okay. I mean, maybe not trauma, but
you didn't get helped by terra firma. Didn't help you in any way. The defeatist scene, did that help you at all?
Pretty sure that's the opposite of feminism, but okay.
Good point. Moving on.
Anyway, so at home, Evelyn is exercising. Ed comes home and wants to know how you hit someone 6 times by accident. He then sees his low-calorie meal on the table, and he takes a bite of it, spits it out, and he says, "Are you trying to kill me?" And she says that she's like, "No, I would just do that with my bare hands." What the
I fucking love it. Like, no, there's many better ways to kill you.
There's so many better ways.
So many better. Let me list all the ways.
Right. Then we see Ninny telling a nurse that Evelyn wants to hit her husband in the with a baseball bat. And the nurse just laughs and says, "That seems about normal." I mean, sometimes I want to hit my husband in the head with a baseball bat too.
Did you constantly? You mean?
Sometimes. I mean,
that's why we don't have baseball bats, people.
I mean, I do sleep. Didn't expect that,
No,
did you?
I did not.
And Evelyn walks in and wants to know if Iggy killed Frank. So Ninny starts in again. It's been 5 years since Frank has been missing, and Smokey has been gone the whole time too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows back up. Sheriff Smoot is there doing one of his visits, and everyone is reintroducing themselves and stuff. Well, outside they hear kids start screaming Buddy's name, and everyone goes running. Then we see George carrying Buddy Jr. to a car.
Yeah.
Because he's hurt his arm. Well, the train ran over his arm. Then you think that Buddy died because they're having a little funeral, but it's really they're having a funeral for his arm.
And when I first saw this movie when I was really young, this funeral scene for the arm really stuck out in my memory. I still retain it from this flick. But like I said, I think they're cursed people. Like trains are not these
buddies.
Yeah, buddies. Don't name your kids Buddy anymore. They're going to hit by train.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's
Why are they playing by the train tracks? Why?
I think it's just what you did.
Well, that's fucking stupid.
I don't know. Did you?
No.
And I don't think people do this anymore, but we used to take well, no, we didn't. We didn't used to do that. My fucking dad used to do that.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we had Nintendo. But my dad used to take like pennies and stuff and nickels and stuff to the train tracks.
Right.
And you'd put them on the train tracks and then the train would run over and smash them all together into these cool little
flat things.
I don't think anybody does that anymore, but
no.
But I think it's, so. I don't know. I think you just got excited about a train track at that point in time. Like that was the one excitement you had. Like I said, there was no Nintendo.
There's just always the threat of getting hit by a train.
I guess there's backgammon. You could play a board game or something.
I want to know how Buddy Jr. only got his arm chopped off.
Well, you're bouncing on the train tracks and you go to jump off and, you're using your arms to balance yourself, jump off to the side. Your arm's still sticking out and you don't have time to put it down. And then whack.
Is that what happened?
It's what I can think of. Unless he was just trying to shake hands with a train.
Does the train have hands?
I dare you to tap that train.
So this is what I imagine when you said something about, shaking hands with the train. I imagine those little baby arms on this train.
Can we put giant googly eyes on trains? I need that.
Please.
I need that in my life.
That would be hilarious. Anyway, Ruth and Iggy are playing poker one day, and Grady says he needs to talk to Iggy. They have pulled Frank's truck out of the river, and Grady says that her and Big George are under arrest for murder. He says he has to take her to Georgia in the morning and encourages her to run away. He says that he will take George over there, and Iggy says she isn't going to let that happen. She's like, you're going to take me to jail. Because she's not going to let George take the fall.
Yeah, she ain't going to let Big George take the fall for this one.
Neither of them did it.
No.
Spoiler. So fast forward to the trial. Iggy is answering honestly the questions that are asked of her, but it's coming off really smart-assy.
Yes. We didn't really touch on Iggy as a character, but that's how she is.
Yes.
Like she's a very smart ass character and she doesn't give a shit. Like
right.
She's the wild one of the two, of Ruth
yes.
and Iggy. Yeah, she's the more wild one.
So Ruth then gets on the stand and she tells them that she left Frank because Iggy is the best friend she ever had and that she loves her.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Reverend from Whistle Stop is called as a witness and brings his own Bible. He tells the court that Iggy and George were at the revival with him, and the judge tells the lawyer that he doesn't have a case anymore and that Frank just got drunk and drove himself into the river, and he dismisses the case.
Yep.
Because when a white reverend says something, he means it.
So
he did not
the lesson being here is get the white reverend to cover for you.
Right.
Get your white religious leader in your town to cover for you, and you'll be just fine.
Actually, yes.
You could probably bribe them. I mean, as we've come to find out here in 2021, they're not untouchable.
They like to be touched. Anyway, and this is what happened. Ruth tells Iggy that he actually didn't swear on a Bible, that he lied for Iggy and George because Ruth promised that Iggy would go back to church. Really? That's all it took?
That's all it takes. You got to get that money.
So, back to Evelyn. She's going a little crazy, and she starts to tear down a wall at her house.
Yes.
Ed wants to know what's going on with her, and she says that she's been going to all of these classes to try to save their marriage. But all he does is sit on his ass, drink beer, and watch sports. Sounds like my ex-husband.
Yeah. Except for the beer. Is he a beer drinker?
Yeah, kind of.
Really?
Yeah. Not even a 12-pack a night. Like,
I don't know. Why do I not? I don't know, man. Not saying beer is like a masculine thing. Like, you really shouldn't be drinking beer. It's bad for you. But like, so
you just don't see him doing
I feel like that's too hard of a drink for him.
No.
He needs a Shirley Temple with extra cherries.
No. Not like every night, but like, I don't know, maybe a couple nights a week.
Oh, yeah.
Just like 2 beers.
Oh.
And not your 2 beers, like actually 2 beers.
Oh, okay. Not my 2 beers. What are you talking about?
Your 2 beers are 4 beers.
Oh, I have a couple of tall boys. I have a southern a southern tankard is what I have. 2 tall boys.
That's what I'm saying. Your 2 beers are 4 beers.
A couple silver bullets.
Anyway, Evelyn goes to see Ninny and runs into Mrs. Otis's daughter-in-law. That's very weird to say. And Evelyn asks how Miss Otis is doing, and Evelyn is happy because she knows that. Oh, Mrs. Otis is fine. By the way, Evelyn's happy because she knows that Ninny has been wanting to go home.
Yes.
And the woman tells her that Ninny won't be going home. They condemned and tore down her house. And they haven't told her because they didn't want to break her heart. So Evelyn goes in to celebrate Ninny's 83rd birthday. And she brings her a plate of fried green tomatoes. And Ninny is so excited about this.
Yes.
I mean, I would also rather have a plate of fried green tomatoes than cake.
That honestly, yes. Like I've told people a million times, it's like, no, I did. Like, first of all, pie is better than cake. So you bring me pie. Or just cook me something really good.
like fried green tomatoes.
Yeah, I'm cool. I don't need the weird sugar thing at the end. It's not my thing.
Right. Oh, well, it is your thing. You love sugar, but
not in cake form.
That's
I'm
true.
not a cake
That's
person,
true.
really.
So Ninny tells about the fall after the trial. Ruth has terrible cancer and only a few more weeks to live.
Which, goddamn, you go from like, I know this seems like we're like snapping your neck here with this whole like, oh, Ruth has cancer now, but that's how it happens in the movie.
Right.
It's just like all of a sudden, oh, hey, Ruth's going to die. And you're like, whoa. I wasn't prepped for this.
Right.
Hang on.
Right. So Ruth has terrible cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I already said that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Sipsy's taking care of her, and Iggy's just been praying for a miracle. Ruth says that she doesn't want Buddy to go to her funeral, and Iggy's in denial that anything's going to happen. She's like, "What funeral? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So Buddy walks in, and he's gotten into a fight. So Iggy takes him away for a little bit to try and cheer him up with her little feel-good stories, the same ones that her brother has told her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work because he knows all of them. So they start to talk about Ruth, and Iggy tells him that now is the time to have courage and calls Ruth an angel on earth. So they go and talk to Ruth, and she kisses Buddy and sends him to wash up. She can't breathe, and she's refusing meds from Sipsy. Iggy stays, and Ruth tells her to be good to herself. And then she asks for a story. And Iggy tells her the one about the lake. And by the time she's done, Ruth is dead. Why are you looking at me like
penis.
that?
We need
No!
something funny. Penis.
Why do you have to ruin it?
I don't know. It's sad. Penis.
Are you going to cry?
No, but it is a very, very fucking heartbreaking moment in this fucking movie.
Why do you have
I
to?
dare you guys. I dare you to watch this and not tear up at this scene just a little bit.
Oh, I blubbered like a baby.
Yes. Brittany was crying. I was crying. I think Brittany's about to cry again.
No, I'm not. I'm mad
No.
that you said penis. Like, you just ruined the whole thing.
Well, we can't depress people on this show.
You could have had like 4 seconds of silence.
No.
2 seconds of
No.
silence.
We got to keep people on their toes here at Night of the Horror File. We are still a horror movie podcast. We don't want to lose the sheen of the penis joke. Okay? Because penis is our jokes. Anyway. Anyway, back to the heartfelt movie that we're fucking trashing.
So back at the house, Evelyn is building the wall back up that she just knocked down. And Ed brings her flowers. She says she's changed her mind and wants to know if Ninny can come live with them. And Ed says that she isn't even family.
Mm-hmm.
He says that it's never going to happen and to forget about it. And she says that if he isn't going to listen, then there's always to Wanda. That means she's going to do whatever the fuck she wants. And I agree. That's how our marriage has been working.
Well, how? What do you mean
I
by
do
that?
whatever the fuck I want. I don't ask for permission.
I mean, yeah, but you make some smart decisions, though. That's the difference between you and some other people.
Some smart decisions.
Some smart decisions. I mean, you did buy this skeleton. I think that was a very smart decision. You did buy this medical skeleton for our studio.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay, I'll take it. So Evelyn goes to see Ninny, and the nurse is taking the wallpaper down.
And you're preparing yourself, right? At this point.
You're
Preparing yourself for another fucking punch to the goddamn heart. And
right.
like, I had forgot what happened. And we were kind of watching this part together the other night. And I was like, oh no. Oh, no. I don't remember. Oh no.
And the nurse says that the woman that lives there died this morning. And Evelyn starts to freak out. And another nurse comes in and tells her, no, that was just Miss Otis.
Yeah.
Not Ninny. She says that Ninny went home in a taxi to Whistle Stop. So Evelyn drives there, finds Ninny just sitting there where her house was, and she's sad and says that someone stole her house. So someone stole my house.
Who would come and steal an old woman's house?
Right. So Evelyn has to tell her that they had to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
But she does offer Ninny to come to live with her. So she finally agrees and tells a story about the night that Frank disappeared.
Yeah, we finally get to figure out what happened to Frank.
Right. So they replay the stuff that happened, and like Frank takes the baby,
Yes.
Smokey stops him, he punches Smokey, and then he gets knocked out. But you want to know what he got knocked out with? A frying pan. And you wanted to know who knocked him out? Not knocked out, killed, sorry.
Yeah.
You want to know who killed him? Sipsy.
Sipsy. So they were covering for Sipsy the whole time. Because, I mean, that's the thing. You know, if it would have come out as the black woman killed him.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So after that, Sipsy, George, Iggy, and Smokey meet to talk about what happened. And they say that Sipsy can't take the stand because she's a black woman. And Smokey can't be the witness because he's the town drunk.
Yeah, I love Stan Shaw's delivery here. Though he's like, I'm kind of confused on who the fuck's going to believe the town drunk and the black woman.
I don't think he uses the word fuck.
No, well, I used the word fuck.
Okay. I was like, I don't think he did.
Lee can't say a sentence without saying fuck.
I guess not.
And all your favorite movie characters can say fuck if you want them to. I mean, Forrest Gump. Well, that was fucking stupid.
I don't think he did that.
Stupid is as stupid fucking does.
Oh my gosh.
Motherfucker.
So they're trying to come up with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And Iggy tells George that it's hog boiling time.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's not. And she was like, it's hog boiling time.
He's like, oh.
So this is the barbecue that was served to Sheriff Smoot. By the way, I didn't add this in here, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but I have to talk about it. So they show Sipsy serving Sheriff Smoot this,
Yes.
and he was like, "This is the best barbecue," and she was like, "The secret's in the sauce."
Yes, Jesus. Okay. So cannibalism is in our movie here. So, one more star above Forrest Gump. There's no cannibalism in Forrest Gump.
Yes, you've already spoken on
I
that.
know, that's what I'm saying. There's none of that. So, it's one over it. But
and Smokey left town because he felt it would be best. I don't understand why, but
I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe because he killed Frank. He was a witness to killing Frank, and he felt bad because that was Ruth's husband. I don't know, but they go on to talk.
Well, and he's a drunk. If they had to put him on the stand, nobody's going to believe what he has to say.
Oh yeah, and he gonna die.
Yeah. And maybe he couldn't lie on the stand. Who knows? I wonder how much of this is expanded in the book. Like how much of the Smokey
probably
character.
all of it.
You know what I mean? I wonder how much background we get of him.
I'm gonna read this book.
I think I might too, actually.
And they do talk a little bit. I didn't write it down. Ninny talks a little bit about how Smokey was in love with Ruth.
Right. Which it's a very sad scene because it shows him at the funeral. He returned for the funeral. But okay, well, one difference is now if you guys are wanting to look up this book, because we've been selling this book, I feel like we're getting paid to do this. But if you guys want to look up this book, it's not just Fried Green Tomatoes. It's actually Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe is the entire title.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when this movie came out in the UK, it went under the complete title. And when it was in the U.S., it's partial title because we can't handle long things. And our attention spans lose interest because we're not the smartest of people. Let me just put it that way anyway.
Right.
So that right there is what caused that confusion when I was defending earlier when I told you about the Stephen King thing.
Oh, okay.
I really think it was that. Because there are two types of viewers of this movie. The ones that take the friendship and the love aspects away, and then the ones that hold on to the fact that they just cooked a man up and fed him to somebody.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. But again, maybe the first part of this movie is a little predictable, but I don't see, did the critics see this coming? I don't understand.
Did they see that Sipsy killed him?
And fed him to somebody, though. They fed him to somebody. That's my point. It's like, when you're sitting in the theater, we're like, so predictable. They fed him to the cop. That's just it happens all the time. Well, no, it doesn't.
No, not really. Not in these type of movies.
It's very original to this story.
Right.
It's very dark.
Yes, it is. So Ninny says that the most important things in life are best friends. So they walk over and see Ruth's grave, and Evelyn finds a note that was left from Iggy and a jar of honey. Evelyn is surprised that Iggy is still alive. And Ninny says, yes, she's still out here charming bees. And this is when Evelyn realizes that Ninny is Iggy.
Yes. Now in the book, apparently Ninny and Iggy are two completely different people, though.
Oh, okay.
But I kind of like this little ending.
I do too.
I like how it turns out that Ninny is Iggy. That's kind of cool. So we laughed. We definitely cried. And
yes.
We had a break from the blood, breasts, and beasts for a week. But Fried Green Tomatoes, unlike most of our other movies, was a massive success. As soon as when it was on the theaters, massive success. And I have to say, the biggest reason was the cast. We've already praised them all, but everyone is on their A game, and this thing has the ability after so many years. 1991. After so many years, it can still punch you right in the fucking feel bag. I mean,
oh, yes, for sure.
It gets you. And it kind of takes you by surprise. Even now, I knew this whole movie. I knew what was going to happen. It's just when it's happening. And that's what I mean by the acting is so great. The acting is the glue that keeps this thing together because, really, we just talked about KKK, cannibalism, and fried green tomatoes for the past hour and a half. And so, sounds ridiculous, but the acting is truly what sells this thing.
Right.
But Now, it was criticizing, like I said, for excising the relationship between Ruth and Iggy. Many people felt like glossing over that was wrong. And maybe it was, but
I don't think so.
maybe not at the time, because I don't think this movie would have been nearly as successful.
Right.
I mean, that's one thing people do have to remember. This is a business film, it's not just the love of the movie. I mean, sometimes It's just, hey, we got to make some money. But luckily though, I think they did keep a lot of that, romantic stuff in.
Right.
They did gloss over it a bit, but
in friendship form.
Yes. But it did win an award from
An Oscar?
No, it was nominated for 2 Oscars.
Oh,
actually.
that's right.
Yeah, it did win an award though from the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation for best feature film with lesbian content.
Oh,
Like I said, the lesbian, it's there.
Right.
You can't ignore it, because back in 1991, I mean, you had to take what you could get from Hollywood. Nowadays, a movie like this would probably be ridiculed into the ground, because it's like, hey,
right.
why weren't they just doing that? Like, this is, it's soft-handed lesbianism is what it is. Soft-handed.
Right.
But like I said, I think with that in mind, though, this movie changes completely. Like, it has a whole new level.
I don't know, though.
Well, I think with that in mind, though, if you look at this as more of a love story.
Okay, but hear me out.
Okay.
For my bisexual brain, this
just makes sense.
I don't think makes sense is the right wording.
Okay, hang on.
Like, it wasn't a question on if they were in love. You just knew.
Well, yeah, I know. And that's because we have today's sentimentality, though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
but back in
1991,
no.
Look at it from that point of view is what I'm looking at it.
Okay,
right
then
now.
no.
Yeah. Looking at it today is what I mean by it's there. You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no hiding it. Like, it's all right there. It's just soft-handed.
I get you.
Sometimes you need a soft hand.
Oh, my God.
Oh, the jokes don't stop here. They just don't stop. We get real serious.
To.
We get real serious and real intellectual, and then I throw a penis joke or a soft hand joke out there. But enough of me praising this movie and telling all my stupid ass jokes. What did you think of 1991's Fried Green Tomatoes?
Well, I ranked it higher than Forrest Gump, so I think
that is a thing.
It.
That is a truly wonderful thing. I did not think anything would knock down Forrest Gump for you.
Because I do love me some Forrest Gump.
I mean, not saying Forrest Gump is your most favorite movie ever. Do you have a most favorite movie?
I don't want to talk about that.
Really?
Because.
Is it kind of like me? It's really hard to find a top.
No.
You didn't catch the double entendre there.
I did. I caught that double-endedness right there.
I can't seem to catch it. Anyway, go ahead. It's a joke, everybody.
Sorry.
It's a joke. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't want to be judged, and you're going to say, "Oh, you're not going to be judged here on Night of the Horror File." I don't care. I'm not going to.
We do not judge.
We don't.
Night of the Horror File.
We don't.
I don't.
But some of those listeners.
No. What's your top favorite movie? Everybody knows that this is not your favorite genre.
I'm not going to say.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
Please.
You already know what it is.
I did 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Yes. See, that's not a bad favorite movie. That's Shakespeare, man. You like a movie based on Taming the Shrew. That's
true.
actually very cultural of you. Like, I mean, that whole movie is Taming the Shrew.
I know.
Anyway, so that's amazing that this. I'm actually excited that we showed you a movie that you really actually thoroughly enjoyed.
Right.
Like, that's very nice. Don't say I didn't do anything for you.
Shut the hell up. Kim did this for me.
That is true. Thank you, Kim, for your request.
Yes, thank you.
But Listener Request Month is trucking on next week, and we are getting back to the horror. Don't worry, you guys. We're not going to cry. Well, Brittany might. But in space. no one can hear you scream. Because next week, we are watching 1979's Ridley Scott masterpiece, Alien, starring Tom Skerritt and Sigourney Weaver.
Say that again?
Sigourney, because I can't talk tonight. Sigourney Weaver. And I'm excited to see how you feel about this one, because The Thing is the last Alien movie I think we watched on here, wasn't it?
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited. You know, we're jumping back into sci-fi terror.
Sci-fi terror.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound very appealing.
You don't get into the alien aspects. And I'm interested to see what you think about this one, though. It's completely different than what you've seen. So anyway.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. I think you might actually have a good time with this one.
I don't believe you.
And it's not, don't worry, it's not a slow burn. Like we ain't spending, it's not The Thing. It's not The Thing, so don't worry. Although, you know, if Wilford Brimley was in that, yelling that they want to be us, like that would be kind of cool. But anyway, that's Night of the Horror File. That's Fried Green Tomatoes this week. We hope you enjoyed this weirdly off-putting episode.
By the way, it's very weird.
It was a very weird episode to sit down and do, but we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you are enjoying Listener Request Month. Don't forget, over on Patreon, Shooting the Shit is brand new this Friday. Obviously, we're going to be talking the KKK, but that's something I never wanted to say before. But anyway, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.